I want to bring in my guests to talk about this. I've got two great legal minds on the program this morning. In the studio, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Noah Pines, and joining us remotely, criminal defense attorney Jessica Mashali, who presented successfully a self-defense claim with battered person syndrome for her client, Marsha Thompson. Won that case, and we all watched it here on Court TV. Great to have you both. Let's just start with your thoughts on the defense case. Are they establishing that Sarah Boone was, in fact, a battered person? Noah, your thoughts, please.
I think they're attempting to do it. And to answer your question, can you be a battered person and also be a narcissist? Or is it either or? I think you can be both. You know, the defense, sometimes, Julie, as you know, you've got to work with what you have. And what you have in this case is just so unique. You have a person in a suitcase, and you have a video of it. And so when there's not a good defense, sometimes defense attorneys get creative and find a good defense. It's like, how do we get around this? And this seems to be the only way that they can get around it. And I don't know that the jury's going to buy it, though.
Right.
The facts are just so horrific in this case.
They are, Noah. And I really appreciate what you said about finding a good defense. Talented defense lawyers can do it. We know that the defense was accident. All along, accident until a couple of weeks ago. Everybody was stunned. We were stunned. The judge was stunned. And they were trying to bring in the big guns. One of those witnesses, Jessica brought in her trial, Dr. Michael Brannon. We loved him. He largely tipped the scales. Here, for whatever reason, he did not evaluate Sarah Boone. And we don't know why. We just know that he didn't. So his testimony wasn't nearly as in-depth as it was in Marsha Thompson's trial. Jessica, dying to get your thoughts on what's going on in Orlando with this defense.
Julie, I thought your opening statement was incredible, and I also took note of your question, you know, is she a battered woman or is she a narcissist? She's definitely both. But whether or not she's a battered woman is not the question for the jury. The question is, did she act in self-defense at the moment that she took action and she put this man in a suitcase and then left him there to die? That's the question. Was she acting in self-defense? Battered spouse is not a defense. It's not a legal defense. It's self-defense that's a legal defense. I agree that the defense team is doing a good job here. They're working with what they have. And what I think they did was they tried to find a way to let the jury know that this was a violent man, because that's damning against him, and that could tip the scale in favor of Sarah if the jury knows that she was dealing with a very violent man. Without bringing up self-defense, his prior acts of violence would not likely have been admissible, and the jury would have never known. They would have simply heard, oh, this is an accident. So they're trying to get that information to the jury, which I think is very skillful, and they did what they needed to do. I also agree that the defense does not fit. Dr. Brannon did not evaluate her. My opinion would be that he would not have opined in her favor. And I think that the defense, again, in a strategic attempt to sort of, you know, grab Dr. Brannon's credibility onto their side, they called Dr. Brannon. But I think the jury's going to notice that Dr. Brannon didn't say anything to help Sarah Boone.
Jessica, I am so grateful for that analysis, because it was very confusing, the way they presented it. They had trouble getting him in as an expert. I'm going, this guy's an expert. He's been qualified and qualified again and again. What is going on? All those sidebars. I'm talking to Kelly Craft off camera, and she said all the defense team, you know, would confirm with us is that he did not evaluate her. And Jessica, that's a great theory, that they put him up there to be kind of like the professor, talk about it in generalities, but we're not going to elicit an opinion.